Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the brand new Eagle Rising update. This update comes with a completely revamped and redone map, a brand new legionary system, client states, the ability to make your clan members into mercenaries, a complete change up to the Roman units. They are now focused around the Republic era instead of the Imperial era. Morale damage now plays a massive part in battles, and sniping and killing officers will actually feel impactful. We've also seen changes to the Dacian and Iberian troop trees. A couple new scenes have also been added to the Germanic and Celtic towns, and finally but not least, unit terrain bonuses are now in the game. This means that certain units perform better on certain terrains, which will hopefully add a completely new dynamic to battles. But before we jump into the campaign, let's have a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Forge of Empires. If you're into strategy, city building, or just love watching your creations evolve through time, then this is definitely the game you'll want to check out. Forge of Empires starts you off in the Stone Age, and your goal is to grow and develop your city through iconic eras like the Middle Ages, the Industrial Age, and of course all the way into the Space Age. It's all about strategic balancing resources, managing your population, and making smart decisions to keep your city thriving. And it's not just all about economy, you'll also be building an army. The battles are turn-based with a cool rock, paper, scissors mechanic where your units types counter each other. You can fight your way across the world map, challenging other players in PvP, or just joining a guild for epic battles and tournaments. Forge of Empires is packed with features, and they keep it fresh with regular events, quests that unlock unique rewards, theme buildings, and boosts. Plus, with over 130 million downloads, you know you're stepping into a thriving and active community. And you can even play directly in your browser. So download Forge of Empires by scanning the QR code on screen, clicking the link in the description, or by checking the pinned comment. And when you do, you'll get some awesome starter rewards. 25 Forge points, 1,000 coins, 1,000 supplies, and once you hit the Bronze Age and the Welcome event, you'll unlock even more. 150 raffle tickets, 2 golden throws. So take your city from the Stone Age to the stars by downloading Forge of Empires now, and let the adventure begin. Okay, so here we are on the brand new campaign map. So this was edited, but originally it was the Burning Empires campaign map, which they were kind enough to share with actually a bunch of creators, which is probably why you're seeing a similar map to this in a few other mods. However, they have gone in and changed a whole wealth of things to obviously make it fit the Roman era and the antiquities, and they've done a great job of that. And I think that this map does fit the time frame a lot better than Lemmy's map mod, which they were using previously. Again, massive shout out to Lemmy. He gave so many modders his amazing map, which they managed to use to then be able to focus on other things. But of course, his map is focused more around the medieval time period, whereas this is specifically, you know, much more focused around the antiquities and also going into like the Dark Ages. So if we just take a look at the overall feel of the campaign, as I said, it is set in the age of the Republic. So they have gone in and removed a handful of the armors and the other imperial stuff. And you can also obviously see, you know, Romans not quite in their full strength yet. They obviously haven't pushed past the Po Valley or like into Gaul or into Spain really. You know, Carthage is still there being a threat, even though of course they do still have Sicily. I think this is after the Second Punic War, right, where they still have Sicily under their command, and they obviously haven't pushed much into the east, obviously only taking well, none of this territory quite yet. A little bit more detail as well as we go through Greece. You can see a bunch more of the kind of historically appropriate cities are now placed in, and I really do like the terrain as we go up like through Croatia into the Alps, and we can see again more of the more of the terrain. Also like as well Spain looks pretty cool, very mountainous areas, these paths going forward and these settlements set up, and you can obviously see a lot less roads being set up here, whereas if you go into, for example, into Italy, you're going to be able to see these roads kind of scattering through the settlement, the dirt roads, and also of course the normal ones. The Seleucids themselves are of course a very vast empire as well, stretching all the way out into the east. We even have Bactria up here, so if you are looking to have a bit of a Bactrian campaign, there is a lot set out there for you. So again, as I said, there's a lot of terrain. There's nothing obviously up here because I don't know, there wasn't really much going on, at least focused in around this time period there. And of course we also have Africa as well, and there's also, you know, know, a lot to expand out into if they want to. Of course, we have Egypt as well, and Alexandria looking very cool. And pretty much all these units are now set up because we do have the Greeks, which were added in. I don't think it's been added into a public release of the mod, but we do have it one set up right here. So again, all the Greeks are in, and they've done a great job with editing the better pike settings and RBM to actually make it so you can form proper phalanxes, you can form proper hoplite walls, and you know, the spears are actually very deadly. And there's just so many awesome variants of the Macedonians and the other Greeks as well. So again, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun playing the Hellenic style factions for sure. So yeah, overall the map is absolutely beautiful. They've done a great job with updating it, improving it, and just continuing to add a lot of love to it. Again, I love the look of Britain. Just imagine launching legions would be so much fun. As I mentioned, this has changed to a Republic era style Roman Empire, so there's not going to be a mix between Imperial and Republic era soldiers. So again, the unit trees have also obviously come to kind of represent that. So you have the Astartii right here. As we go over, we have the Triarii setting themselves up as well, like boom. We also obviously have some of the Roman cavalry. There's some of the Principes right here as well, looking very good, looking very, very cool indeed. So the Legionarius, veteran Principes. Again, very cool variant sets of different forces. You also have, of course, the Velites, and there's a lot of different variants of them, which is going to be really, really important. And I believe there's also a auxiliary style troop tree you can get when you go to foreign lands and you go to different areas. You can actually recruit, again, kind of Celtic heavy swordsmen. You can bring in a different force into your army. As I mentioned, there is also a brand new legion system in the game as well. So you're going to be able to recruit legions into your forces, and they're going to be split up into cohorts. So for example, we have Legio 2 right here being led by Gaius Varius Sabellius. And then he also has some other cohorts as well that goes into that legion. So for example, we have cohort 2 of Legio 2, we have cohort. Really make for a pretty interesting new system now. When you're bringing up armies, it's not lords, it's not nobles, and it just makes you feel a bit like you're actually leading a legion, which is cool. It'd be very nice to get like a custom interface where you could make your own legion in your clan and kind of build up kind of different things. I don't know, that'd be kind of cool, I think. Users been spending a lot of time actually creating that, which I think is nice. On top of that, we also have custom towns as well for a few of the factions. As I mentioned in the intro, this is one of the Germanic ones. I think there's a handful of these. I believe these are from Burning Empires and haven't been made specifically for Eagle Rising, but I think they fit very well. And yeah, these cities are going to be a lot of fun to actually siege and try and bring down. And I imagine they'll also be looking to add some more of these in the future. Here is one of the Gallic ones, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Look at this like outer wall going around. It's gonna be interesting to see how like one defends it and one attacks it and stuff. I assume these do have siege maps set up as the Rock's already set up, but yeah, I mean, it looks beautiful, right? Like all these towers of arrows coming in, the assault art, it just, yeah, it looks great. It looks really, really good. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. Oh my god, look at that armor set up. That looks cool. Yeah, all of these open areas as well. Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a lot of fun sieging these hill forts. You can now also send off your clan members as an envoy to foreign lords to broker peace and decide different deals. So then when your envoy does finally arrive, you'll be greeted with the ability to talk to them, and there's some cool stuff that you can actually do once you do. If you want to, you could actually try and get these people to be one of your vassals. I believe there's a diplomacy option here. It's not showing up, but yeah, I believe if you're in a war, you can spend influence now as well, which is kind of cool. You can demand the release of certain prisoners, and yeah, I think if we're at war, there would be the ability to make a peace treaty, and you could try and encourage them to be a client state of yours. And then the client states are a brand new diplomacy feature. They'll not declare offensive wars. They'll always join you in defensive wars. They'll pay you tribute, and they'll do a bunch of other things as well. And I think there's a few types of client states as well that Muse has added. Again, a very, very cool feature. As I mentioned as well, there is a completely new revamped buff to soldiers, and I guess also nerf depending on the terrain that you're fighting. So actually fighting on the correct terrain is going to be super important. For example, if we hover over these pikemen, you can see they get a 10% boost in plains and steppes, a 5% boost in desert. However, in snow and forest, which is I guess basically rough terrain, they get a minus 20% to all of their stats. So it's quite a big update. Then if you go over to, I think it's actually the same for all pikemen. Then for example, if we go over to maybe some peltists, you can see that they're going to have actually no negatives, no buffs whatsoever. Actually, yeah, none of these guys do. Maybe they haven't had any of that done to them quite yet. I imagine they're probably still working through. But this is a really cool system, and I can't wait to see it fully added. It's going to mean when you're fighting, you're going to have to pick the right army if you want to fully optimize your forces, and that forces that are severely outnumbered can perform well in their chosen territory if they bait the enemy in. It's going to add a little bit of an extra strategic layer to the campaign map, which is really cool. Another really big thing that you can do early on in the campaign as well, which is actually huge, we'll actually just jump back to our player character, is you can now form armies with your clan armies. So if you have, and when you're not part of anyone, when you're completely independent, you can form these armies. So for example, if I was clan rank 3, for example, and I picked a clan army with one of my sisters, I could then tell her to join my force and we could form an army. That is so big and interesting and fun. And it makes actually going independent and forming your own kingdom so much more possible. Generally what you'd have to do is wait a much longer in the game before you tried to attempt to form a kingdom, just because you had to wait for your army to get good enough to be able to take a castle. You just would cheese it and try and wait until there was a rebellion and then jump on the rebellion. But now you can actually form armies with your house members, with your clan members, which is just great. And also, finally, like I mentioned, you can also go and tell these people to go and join a mercenary band. So they'll basically go off and they'll serve and try and gain honor. I believe as they go off and obviously try and gain favor with whoever they've joined, they will also give you renown, and I think you get a little bit of money back or something as well by having these people go off and fight. I believe you can also tell them specifically who to fight with for as well. If I go over here and I yap to her, and I think I'm pretty sure I can tell her to, inform all our mercenary bands to serve a new kingdom. I can tell her to disband. I can start funding it. I can also enter her service as well, so I can get her to be a mercenary and then serve as a soldier, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I could also tell her to go and join someone else as well. I mean, Bactria is paying a lot of goddamn money. But yeah, it's a really cool system. I'm a big fan of it, and it just gives you something to do with your clan members in the early game so they can go out and maybe form up a decent army. And that is going to about do it for the update. Again, there's been a bunch of other things that I've implemented here and there that I've mentioned in a previous video. But this new map is a big new dawn for the Eagle Rising mod. I am very excited to see where they go from here. This current build is Patreon only. There's still lots of small things they need to implement and adjust. Again, a lot of the terrain stuff you saw was only in there for a handful of units. But of course, they are planning on, implementing more and more going forward, and hopefully the test build will, fix out its issues, fix out its bugs, and it'll become public as soon as possible because this update is really cool. However, for those of you who want to support the project, I believe you can do it for as little as $2, and I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see maybe more content, maybe a Let's Play as the Macedonians, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Once again, I want to thank Forge of Empires for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out the link in the description, pin comment, or scan the QR code on your screen right now.